I think the one starting point that is really effective for FSL educators when they want to engage 21st century learners is to start by asking the question, who's doing most of the talking in your classroom space? If it's the teacher, it's usually then the person who's talking the most that is perhaps doing the deeper learning. And so how can we create classroom spaces where students feel safe to share their perspectives, their viewpoints that are, of course, informed by their identities, by their lived experiences, and the diversity of those experiences? How can we create spaces where it's safe to disagree, to share opinions? I think many adults could probably benefit from that learning as well. It starts with knowing your students, knowing their identities, knowing their interests, and creating and selecting texts and creating learning opportunities that will engage those students at their interest level and allow them to share their perspectives on the world and ask deep questions. Our students have opinions to share. We have to create opportunities for them to share those opinions, whether that be in a digital format or using technology to advance collaboration and communication between students. Another suggestion I would make in terms of engaging 21st century learners would be to ditch that textbook. No manual scolaire, no textbook series can speak to the ever-changing, rapidly changing world in which we live in. Things become out of sync with reality so quickly. And so curating an ongoing resource list that is up to date, current, and relevant is really important in terms of engagement. As I said before, relevance is the tool to beat resistance in terms of learning and engagement. I think secondly, we have to take kids off of a stage and put them on the kind of stage that speaks to them and their generation. This is a generation of TikTokers and Snapchatters and Instagrammers and influencers and YouTubers. So how can we leverage our students' desire to share their knowledge through those platforms in the classroom? That will require some learning on our part as educators who maybe don't live in that world to understand that our students do, and that's where we can meet them and engage them. Finally, I think there's tangible ways to collaborate with other teachers. I've always said that other teachers are your best resource in terms of finding resources, finding ideas, and collaborating on tasks that are meaningful for students. And so ask yourself, for example, who can I connect with? Can I find a mentor, particularly for those teachers who are new to the profession? It's so important to have someone to really discuss the challenges of the job. It's also important for our mental health and well-being as educators. I would ask all educators to look around at the four walls in the classroom. Whose French are we teaching? Who is represented? And furthermore, does the space look like a classroom from the 21st century or one from the 20th century? And how can we rearrange the physical learning space, never mind the digital one, but even the physical learning space, to meet the needs of our highly engaged 21st century learners? Are all the desks facing the front? That indicates to students, subtly, metaphorically, that the person at the front holds all the knowledge. It limits opportunities for students to collaborate, to learn from each other. And that's where the cultural competency comes into play. That's where an exchange of ideas, that's how we build empathy, it's by learning from others and learning from their experiences. And so let's reimagine the idea of having a front of the classroom. I would suggest that for our modern learners. I think in terms of oral interactions, listening activities, reading activities, and writing activities, building those skills and competencies means meeting students where they are. And that means you cannot treat students equally. You have to treat them equitably. And equal does not mean equitable. They do not mean the same thing. And so one student may need a different entry point into the learning than another. How can a teacher be everywhere, everything all at once, right? Like the film title. We can't. There's only one of us in the classroom. But what we can do is, again, share power with students, give students some choice. How can we curate resources for different levels of learning, different levels of language, so that all students feel that they can access the information, that they can have a win, that they can participate is vital. We have to consider that the pandemic isolated us all, and that when we see our students mindlessly scrolling for the internet or TikTok or disengaged in the classroom, it's not that they don't want to learn. This is a trauma response, and it's one that we all understand. We have to lead with empathy and create spaces where students feel safe. We also have to create spaces where students are relearning how to communicate, how to build their confidence, how to socialize. We have to be patient with our students. Having said that, in terms of oral interactions, I think, again, creating opportunities for students to speak authentically, in using the target language, using the language structures, the vocabulary that we're teaching, but talking about themes and topics that interest them is very important. And if we don't know our learners and we don't know what interests them, we have to find that out. We have to seek that information by engaging and speaking with our students, learning more about them, and gathering that evidence of who our learners are right from the beginning. We can't plan for them if we don't understand them. We can't teach them if we don't care for them. And that's very important in terms of a mindset from day one in September.